Some of you don't know who I am, and I cannot go through a full-blown explanation of that right now. How many have heard me speak before in your school? Okay. So this is why I'm not doing my normal talk. I'm going to kind of go right into some other things. So the first thing I'm going to explain to you is when you watch that video, you know, whether you're being serious cheering or whether you're messing around, because none of you would ever do that. Do you know that that could be you in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years? Now I'm going to need you to be thinking as I speak, because the reality is I don't do this just because I enjoy walking around humans. I do this because I don't know who I'm standing in front of. I did something different this time. We'll finish with the story of Chris Sutton. But I want you to understand that what you experience today in Diversity Day and Mix It Up Day is you experience leaving your comfort zone. And from some of you, what I saw in the lunchrooms, you were very traumatized. I mean, you just sat there staring like way off in the distance trying to find your happy place. I brought a banner today that your school did 8 years ago. I brought the banner because, as most of you know the story of Chris Sutton, we lost him to brain cancer when he was a junior here at Boardman. And what I wanted you to understand was that when this school works together, the difference that you can make is off the charts. When you work independent of each other, everything becomes more difficult and aggravating because you're alone. So my intentions today with the few minutes I have is to challenge the student body to stop making it about you. It's not about you. It's never been about you. Long after you're dead, in the hole, they shovel dirt in your face, go back to your church, sweet potato salad, it won't be about you. What it will be about is the difference you make while you're here. So, I've kind of gone a different route. I didn't use all my stuff that I usually use. And the reason for that is I want to get to the heart of this matter. Okay? Now, how many upperclassmen, seniors stayed for today? Where are my seniors? Just put your hand up, don't make noise. Huh? I always cheer themselves like, ah! Okay, I got it. That's you. All right, where are my juniors? Look at them go. We can just put our hand up. And how about my sophomores? Where are my sophomores? Look at how proud. And where are my freshmen? Oh, you poor little humans. You're still walking around the building going, I just don't know where it is. And I have to confess it's okay because I did that for 4 years, so don't feel bad. I am a graduate of Boardman High School. I graduated, as Mr. Saxon said, in 1981. I have 3 siblings. Lori graduated in 82, Barbara 83, and then our brother came along in 89 and graduated. I will tell you what's very cool is that I met my bride in that cafeteria our junior year. And I've been happily married to Sue Billette now, Cahoots, since 1985. We have 2 children. We have Courtney, who is 20. She's been graduated for 2 years, or 3 now. She's a junior in college. And our son, David Michael. And he knows. He's like, do not embarrass me. I'm like, dude, I'm not going to do that. But when I talk about you, I'm going to probably get choked up. He's like, why? I said, because it's my last year. I don't have any more kids in the school system. And I'm going to miss them. And that's okay. It's totally legal. Look at this kid going, I don't know Romeo this, doesn't he live? Yes, he lives with us, but he's not going to be here. What I'm going to do today is I'll be my one-man show. I'm going to do a little PowerPoint, so for those of you who can appreciate this, I will do it all by myself. But she's like, I want to sing song. I love that song. All right. Oh, yeah. We're going to have a little fun today. Now, you have to understand, so that you adults don't get all bent out of shape with me, I am not speaking to you. I am speaking to a group of future leaders, teenagers, and some of the questions that I've been asked to put on PowerPoint were by your leaders. So please don't get mad at me. Now, teenagers who will someday grow up and believe that. Now, I don't want you to lose your sense of humor or your weirdness in my case, but I just want you to realize that when you're in a crisis mode and you feel like, quote, giving up, you can't. You can't, because that bald, fat little guy, Mr. Dude, Pastor Banks, kept saying all the years I knew him, I'm standing in the presence of greatness. Ooh, and I got to be honest with you this afternoon and tell you, every time I hear that, I get chill bumps. And you're like, oh, you're just kind of weird that way. There's no question. But there's a reason why, and the reason is this. Maybe you're going to go into a lab one day and bump the beaker and cure cancer by accident. It'll still be awesome, won't it? I just would be psyched if somebody would cure baldness. That would be awesome. Who is that? Now, you have to admit, the reason we picked Mr. Garwick is because he is so far cuter than the other principals. How many would agree with that statement? Yeah. So here's our first question. Those of you who have an audience response card, I want you to understand what you're holding in your hands. You're holding in your hands an idea that a few years back, a team of 3 gentlemen started collaborating together and thinking some ideas out loud, putting them on paper, and then pursuing patent rights. And before you knew it, Turning Technologies that started with 3 employees now has their corporate international offices in downtown Youngstown. They're employing almost 400 employees and still growing. And it's all because of that card you're holding. Now that card, had I had it when I was a student, would have saved my life. Because how many would be honest this afternoon and say that when you're asked a question, like you're terrified to answer because, quote, what if I'm wrong? Put your hand down. Yeah, the rest of you are like, I don't even know what should answer that, I could be wrong. Okay, so you can relate. The question that Mr. Someone wanted me to ask Mr. Garwick was, now you have a chance with the time box starting, click 1 or 2 on your response card. Hurry up. Clearly, I think what we should go ahead and do is just stop the assembly now. Mr. Saxon, where are the sisters? No, we're not doing that. All right. Oh, they're like, oh. Here's the second question. What was the purpose of Mix It Up Day? To traumatize the student body. 2, to learn how to sing Kumbaya around the fire. Some kids are going, I didn't see a fire. There was no fire. Or 3, to help us appreciate the what? Oh, the wonder of where? And trust me, even as I look at some of the older folks, I go, it's quite diverse. Here's the thing. Yeah, they're not that old. How old are you? I'm 45. Anything other than 45, you're young. Here's the deal, student body. You get a chance to answer, starting now. Well, they're all pressing them up before. Hurry up. 5 seconds. And your answer was... So we know that 18% of you will go home tonight and get into a fetal position in your bed and be tickling your nose going, I'm so frightened. I didn't know those humans. It was so frightening to me. And here's the cool part. Are you okay? I mean, you're not like that, right? No one like said, hey, come on, let's drag them off to the special part of the cafeteria. Nothing happened, did it? Oh yeah, they left the comfort zone. And student body, here's what Mr. Saxon has asked me to try to challenge you to think about. If it's not about you, and yet there's a purpose for your life, you're not an accident, you're not a mistake, there's a reason you're here, then how many would be honest this afternoon and say, I would love to know what the reason is I'm here? Put your hand down. Oh no, I don't have the answer. I want to say, what is it? I don't have the answer. I just want you to know this. When I came to Boardman High School in the late 70s, my freshman year, looking for the fourth floor, looking for the pool, being told I was allowed to use the elevator, they're lying to you. I didn't fit in. Now that's important for you to hear, especially my upperclassmen who are not gone yet. I didn't fit in. And since I didn't fit in, I then began trying to create an opportunity for me. And I'm not proud of it. Most of you know some of the bad decisions I made when I was a teenager. The reality is I was very fortunate. I was fortunate to have an aha moment spiritual where I said, God, if you're real, help me. And everybody's like, what happened next? Clouds began to look like angels. And the trees were swaying. And I heard, oh, nothing happened. Nothing changed. Until I did something. And that something that I did was ask for help. I'm looking at Madeline as she sits here, and I'm thinking to myself, of course, we're not allowed to call her that. Since I grew up, how old was I? 5 or 7? And how many years have you wanted to just beat me this? Well, you're like 29, I'm 31. Here's the deal. Living next to the Biancos, you had to know something right after that. Every spring I'd be like going, that is so cool, they have chicken. And I'm going, why do they have chickens? And then by the end of the summer, like, where are all the chickens? And Mrs. Bianco, Madeline's mother, would come out and in very broken English said, we eat the chickens. And I'm like, whoa, is that legal? See guys, in this room, ladies, in this room, there's diversity. Whether it's cultural diversity, skin color diversity. You do know as a white boy, all I get is red and white. I don't get brown. I got no tanning abilities. My bride, she's Italian. That woman can be in the sun for about 15 minutes and she's golden. I'm like, I hate you. The deal is, as we look at these questions, we need to get to the truth of some things. They won't tell me, so we have to vote on this. Who do you think sucked their thumbs in their freshman year of high school? You have 15 seconds to answer that question. Hurry up. And there's some kids in here that go, he seems so nice. Why did he yell at me? Because you put yourself in a position to be yelled at. That's right. So we now know the truth. And Mr. Cardinal, is that true? No, it's not true. But it was fun to ask. How many of you have ever had someone judge you didn't know? And I hated it. How many like being judged when someone did not know you? Very few, right? Yeah. Now, let's stay here for a second. Here's what I know about humans. One, they will disappoint you. Anyone who's got a child knows that when that baby first comes, they're like, oh, how beautiful. I still walk around with the first day pictures of Courtney and David. When I go to pay for stuff, like the girl or whoever's working the counter, like, oh, how old's your baby? And if Courtney's there, I point at her, and the woman looks at me, they're like, dude, you have issues. I'm like, yes, I'm madly in love with my kids. And then they're like, oh, that's so... Hey, guys, in 15 years, some of you will be parents, if not sooner. And I want to ask you a question. Hold on. How will your kids feel about you Oh, you're missing that. Come back, all my ADD friends. Come back. Oh, it's cool. I was looking at the other banks for a minute. Okay, come back. See, my job, where's my son David? He's hiding. My job with David and Courtney as a parent was to give them the least amount of ammo to use against me when I'm in the wheelchair. Because one day when I'm old and I'm in a wheelchair and my kids are pushing my wheelchair, what I don't want is for them to just keep ramming me into the wall so they're going, and take that for what you used to do. My goal is to have my children love me the way we love them. But how do you do that? If you give something and you don't get something, how many of you stop trying? If you give something and you don't get something back, how many stop giving? Yeah. Here's the secret. The secret is keep giving. Of yourself, of your gifts, of your personality. Because I'm here to confess to you this afternoon, this is the second year that I'm full-time speaking for Talk as Chief. Prior to that, I came to this school whenever I could squeeze some extra time out of my schedule, or my former boss and her husband would let me come and speak during the clock of Valley Office. I didn't get paid for years to do what I'm doing right now, and I did it anyway. Not because I'm a great guy, but because I was standing in the presence of what? Greatness. Next question. This is an important one, so answer it seriously. Give yourselves a hand. Now you know what Mr. Saxon wants. He wants 100%. Now I'm going to tell a secret. Not about Mr. Saxon, don't worry, we've thrown you guys under the bus enough. When I went to school here, I was afraid of the principal. One reason, I saw him a lot, and that's never good. The second reason is because of what an author, speaker, and teacher by the name of Dr. John Maxwell says. Dr. Maxwell says people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I would be very hard-pressed to believe that there's very many students, if you were honest, that wouldn't at least admit, you know, that guy cares. Am I telling the truth? By the way, I'll pay for that, so I'll go ahead and spread the wealth. He's trying to instill the same belief in his staff. And I gotta tell you something, teenager. The fact that you drive a nicer truck than some of us is ridiculous. But you're blessed. But I gotta ask you a question. Did you ever think for a minute of thanking the teachers for the sacrifices they make with their personal time? Because while you're in class and they're teaching, they're not grading papers, are you? They do that on their own time, or later in the day. And then there's the countless hours they've spent with some of you students trying to help you catch up. See, you're going to be a teacher someday. And as one, I wonder, what will you do? Will you care enough to take the time? If you step on someone's foot, say, I'm sorry? Or will you just go through life, head down, trying to get as much for yourself as possible? This question that's coming up, it's important for us to ask. And you need to be honest. Sometimes. I can't walk over here, I come all the way over. Now, Mr. Mullane, where are you? There you are. I'm going to walk over here, so 2 feet back. behind the podium can fall asleep and drool on paper. I'm not going to do that to myself. This is how I stay focused while I speak to you. Notice I don't have any notes, right? Because where am I speaking from? My heart.
My chest? I don't know.
See, guys, what's important about that slide is this question. So hear me out. When you go for that job interview, the one you want so bad after college, and the person who's interviewing asks you the question, so, if we do give you this opportunity, and it's huge, and you're like, dude, man, I'd be like stoked to have it. Are we going to get you at 100%? Or are we going to get 60 to 70? Because nobody is dumb enough to go, well, since you asked, you'll be lucky to get 50, but you'll never know. Would you hire them? Come on, let's be honest. We wouldn't hire them, would we? In Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, which was a brutal book for me to read because there were absolutely no pictures, the concept hit me like a ton of bricks, and it was this. Good is the enemy of great. Now, I know some of you are like, what? So I'll say it slow. This group needs me to go. Good is the enemy of great. So what is good? Good is average. Excuse me. What is average? Average is the best of the worst and the worst of the best. Now, I know we mess around and we only have a few minutes left, but I'm going to ask you to be serious, truthfully. If you were going to have brain surgery, and your doctor walks in and they're like, hey dude, what's going on, man? And you're like going, nothing, waiting for the surgeon. Dude, I am him! And you're looking, and he's busting the sack. He's got one of those hats on, or a do-rag. He's like, you love it! And you're like, oh. And then you like smell something on his breath, and you're going, I think that's bad. And he says, no, you do know this is why you're getting such an incredible deal on the surgery, because clearly this is a 50-50 whether or not we're going to pull this bad boy off. How many of you would be like, I love average? You should see you looking at me like, you're an idiot, dude, you're an idiot. There's no chance that you would settle for that. You'd be like, well, sir, you have yourself a nice life, and dude, man, pull up your pants because it was freaking me out. Yes or no? Yeah. Did you enjoy today? No. Remember the third answer is a little. Throw us a little. Okay, let's wait. That's awesome. Now, you know why we're not afraid to ask that question? Because as leaders, Mr. Saxon, his student body, and his team, we're always looking for ways to improve. We're not trying to freak you out. Seriously, we don't want some kid going home and going, I can hardly talk, I was going for... We're not looking for that, are we? Well, maybe I'm one or two. No! But I'm going to tell you, right now, so you get this. If any of you decide after college that you actually would like to get paid and go get a job, one of the things they may make you do for the day is a ride-along or sit-in day. You have to go physically interact with people who may be hiring you. What are you going to do? I can see you now, you have your little Boardman cup high in the cubicle going, hi, I'll just be here if you need anything. And then go get the job. You never get a second chance to make the first impression. What Mr. Saxon and his leadership team is doing is they're giving you an advantage, whether you like it or not. And that advantage is to learn how to be social. Say thank you, please. And as we go into this last part of the talk, you need to know something. Those 5 answers are all correct answers. But you need to pick one. And I gotta make a confession to you. blind leading blind never helps. When you have a 14 or 15-year-old friend and you go, I just need some help, man. And they're looking at you going, well, I would do, and I think you should. Come on, guys. They're 15. Right? They're 15. Combined age, you're 30. Do you think we might know something? Teenager. Let's be honest. Here's the deal. When I speak in your health classes, one of the things I teach you is the 5 elements of a relationship. Love, trust, respect, understanding, and acceptance. And we agreed that number 2 is the most important, trust. And I'm going to beg you to believe something about those other 4 choices. They're most likely the better choice, whether you like that answer or not. The reason? The counselor, the teacher, the administrator, the parent, they've been where you are. You know why you guys listen to me when I speak? Because you know I care. And along these walls are adults who've made great sacrifices in their personal lives to come to this school and serve you. And you're mad at them because they're failing you. Let me tell you a secret. You ought to go get a mirror, and every time you start copping an attitude with someone, just pop it up and go, oh, here I am. Because in a room this big, I can assure you, some get very spiritual the day of a test. Because all of a sudden they're praying like, God, if you would just help me with this test that you did not study for. Am I lying? I'm going to tell the truth. Dude, how do you know that? Many prayer sessions in those classrooms. And sadly, the reality is, I didn't do good in this school. I did not do well. Is that correct? But that was my choice. And the reason it was my choice is because I had a small opinion of myself. And I'm going to bring up another video. Mr. Saxon, it's 5 till. I think we started at 20 after. So are we okay? I'm going to cue up a video. It's going to take me a minute, so be patient. We'll mute that so you don't have to hear all of it. All right. Here's the deal with this clip, and it is one of my favorite movies. You have a man in this story by the name of Pat Adams who checks himself into a psych ward. He does this because he's suicidal. He's a grown man, he's had opportunities, and he's tired. And I'm going to tell you teenagers something. What we experienced 2 weeks ago at Canfield High School shouldn't happen anywhere on the planet. Because as I've told you 1,000 times, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Teenager, I understand the night before the big dance when you get one of those mammer jammer sits right in the middle of your forehead and you're going, oh, that's bad. But I have to tell you as an adult, I would love acne because about the time my acne cleared up, my hair started falling out. So I'm telling you, man, those of you that are struggling with the way you look, relax. Because ladies, I'm going to tell you something. In 20 years, what gravity is going to do to all of our bodies is not even funny. I have some adults going, you have no idea. I mean, I'm on the treadmill, man, and things are moving. I'm like, that is not good. That cannot be good. It's not good. In this clip, Pat Adams sees something. And see, teenager, this is what I've always done. I've always treated you like a young adult. I've never spoken down to any of you, have I? I haven't. I need you to see what Pat Adams does. Don't listen. Watch. Because I'm going to tell you what I know about people. If you love somebody, even when they're unlovable, at some point it's going to change them. This Mix It Up Day, this Diversity Day, this was intended to do exactly what the responses we got did. it communicated something to us. Dude, we were freaked, seriously, we were freaked out. But you got through it, didn't you? And when you fail that test and you swear, my parents are going to kill me. Oh, I got a bunch of resurrected people. No, they didn't think it. They might have beat you within an inch of your life, but you're here. And by the way, you made it. These seniors, you're leaving. It's going to go like that, isn't it? It's freaking out. Now you're like, where did I know. The freshmen in the background, it seems like forever. In this clip, you have Patch Adams who observed something. What he observed was this: when he got entered into the psych ward, he was actually standing there observing what was going on. And out of the camera shot, this old man came up and he went, "Hi, just scared the snot out of him." And Patch was like, "Oh," and the orderly swears at him when you're not showing that part. And Patch goes, "4." And the old man goes, 4, 4. He starts walking away going, 4. And Patch is going, "Oh, he is crazy." He's not crazy. He's bitter. And there's a big difference. The difference between bitter and better is one letter, I. And everywhere I go and everywhere I speak, the thing that I find that's so interesting that we all have in common is that sometimes we just want some me time. We insert the problem and we talk. And we're like, everybody's so mean, no one understands. Now the guys don't do it that way, girls. They're not like that. They're like, "Dude, I'm gonna go catch up." And they're like beating everybody up. You're like, "Whoa, man, what is your issues?" "I don't know. I'm ticked." I know what it is. People who hurt people are hurting people. And some are laughing. It's not even funny. They're hurting on the inside. In all the work that I do, one of the most interesting facts, especially for us adults so that we can stay sane, is, the girls are getting angrier. There's a reason for that. A woman's primary need is security. When the father is not in your home, or he is, but he's dysfunctional, this threatens the core of who you are, young lady. So you act out. Am I telling the truth so far? For the guys, they're different. They don't need warm and fuzzies. They don't need strokes on the back. They need significance. The guy needs to feel significant. Two very different needs. But they may both end up acting the same way. And that seems angry, selfish, disengaged, and like me at your age, I don't even care. What I want you to observe in this clip is a guy who ignores the hostility of an old man and his disrespect and pushes through to see something good in an old man who's screaming for. Got it? Okay, here we go. He's going into the old man's room to ask him again how many fingers. Look at the leaky cup. Look at the math the guy's doing. Listen to the question.
May I come in? If you end your menial collateral illness, place one tailors in front of another, and see where you have a problem. Of course, if there were a news story covering this event, the headline might read, "Small Brain Enters Room."
Okay, I don't want a full answer. Right here in this area. What is that the old man just did to him? What's that called? Insult. Sarcasm. I cannot, for the sake of time, go into this very deep, except to tell you this. I broke my mother and father's heart. When I was your age, it was all about me. I broke curfew, I flunked out, and I didn't care. And I know my mom and dad, they had no idea what to do. I grew up Catholic, Roman Catholic, and my mother had a belief that she could put little notes under St. Joseph. And our curio, which was in the hallway, St. Joseph nose was crooked from all the notes that were under him. As my mother was begging for anyone up there, help this kid. And I have to tell you guys and ladies, I wish it had been different. But if it had, then there's probably no way I could put up with some of you. Truthfully. You know, don't forget, it was at this school, and Mr. Saxon was before your reign, so don't worry, that I had a kid in health class sitting there giving me a certain hand gesture, which did not mean I was number one. And every time one of the health teachers would look over, he'd put the flag down, and as soon as she looked away, he'd put it back up, and I thought, you know, the only way to get to this kid is to make him suffer with the whole class. So I did it. And at the end of the class, about 30 minutes into it, he put the flag down and he came up after class and he said, Mr. Pugh, thank you. I said, for what? He said, you know. I said, no. He said, I was giving you the finger the whole time. I said, dude, I thought you told me I was number one. And he looked at me and goes, you're amazing. And I said, so are you. Now just take the energy, the drive, the motivation that's got you doing stupid stuff and just tweak it a little. In life, you're going to meet people you don't like. Love them anyway. You will reap what you sow.
Fingers. What's the answer?
Oh, you're not one of those bright young fellows who always know the right answers, right? Welcome to real life.
What's he going to do here? He's going to find a need. By the way, just so you know, as this is going on, there's leaky cups all over this building. Not physical. They're emotional. They're mental. They're relational. And they just needed you to come up and say, I'll be your friend. I won't give up on you. Now look at the old man and how he wins it by just fixing a cup. He did.
How many do you see?
Your 4 fingers on your
Look at me. You're focusing on the problem. You focus on the problem, you can't see the solution. Never focus on the problem, look at me. How many do you see? Look beyond the fingers. How many do you see? Eight. Yes. Eight's a good answer. See what everyone else sees. See what everyone else chooses not to see. Fear conforming reasons. See the whole world anew each day. 2 faces along the way.
Listen.
You can see something here besides crazy, bitter old man. He wouldn't have come in the first place.
What do you see when you look at me, Doctor?
You fix my cup. I'll see you around.
Now, for the sake of time, we need to wrap up. I want you to hear my heart on this last part. I've had many privileges over the years. Probably no greater privilege, obviously, than getting to, in fact, marry my high school sweetheart. And then have 2 kids with her. But when I used to be a volunteer youth pastor, I had a kid that we had taken to a YMCA sleepover. He was one of 200. Those sleepovers started at 10:30 on Friday night. And they're pretty strict about messing around because somebody can get hurt. And there was one little boy who would not stop running. And at first it was kind of funny, like, dude, Dan, you're going to wear yourself out. But at 3 in the morning, he was getting old. So then I turned on my unhappy face and I went, Chris, stop running! And as he's still running, looking back at me, he goes, I can't help it! I'm having too much fun! And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to brain this kid. from the day I met him that night. They found a tumor in his chest, the size of a small football. It was cancerous. Cleveland Clinic said we're going to take it out, but here's the problem. It's wrapped around his aorta and his spine. He could either bleed to death or be paralyzed for life. But if we don't take it out, he'll die. They took the cancer out. I've got all but 10%. They chemoed and radiated the rest. Poor Chris, who was just a 13-year-old little boy, lost all of his hair. And I'll never forget the first time he came to youth group with his friend, and I'm looking at Nick Rowe. And I'm like, I know Chris has got cancer, that's why he's bald, but Nick Rowe goes to Lowville schools. I mean, they don't even hang that tight together. And I said to Nick, I said, dude, why are you bald? And his answer was, because if my friend's going to be bald, then I'm going to be bald. And in a group as big as this student body, I have to ask, how would it kill to have a friend like that in your life? Because it's a trick question. Be that friend. Stop wanting them, just go be one. I can go into your lunchroom tomorrow and I'll find kids who sit alone. And you say they're weird. I want you to hear this from your speaker today as we finish your day of diversity day. I'm as weird as they come. Normal's a setting on a dryer, and I'm not a parent. I'm a human being with issues, experiences, hurts, and victories, just like you. But here's what's troubling to me. If we don't stop the tide of hate, if we don't get rid of the spirit of judgmentalness, racism, better than, if we don't start spreading some of the joy and the wealth, it's only going to get worse. Am I telling the truth, adults, or am I lying? So as we finish up today, I want to ask you a question. Where do you play into this picture, this story? Because I can tell you what happened to him. Chris did something most teenagers could never do. He planned his own funeral. Because 3.5 years later, he got brain cancer. And I'll never forget when I saw Christopher right before he passed away. He had an eye patch on his eye. And the reason for that eye patch was because eyeball was getting pushed out of the socket from the tumors in the head. A couple weeks before he passed away, a student in this school went to Mr. Rucci and said, could we please put a banner up and have people sign it? That's it. There's hundreds of notes on there. And I'll never forget the day. Where's Mr. Durango? Remember that day? We walked in with about 35 of you. And poor Chris, trying to be cool, but dying, looked around that room. He was blown away. Would you have gone? Or would you have said, wrong color, wrong background, wrong nationality? I don't like his eyes. I'm not comfortable with people who are dying. You better get comfortable with it because everybody in this room will be gone in less than 100 years. I didn't come here today to make more friends. I accepted the invitation from Mr. Saxon because I knew I'd have the privilege and the honor to do what? Speak into the lives of teenagers. And I'd have done that for free. 2 years ago, I was blessed with the opportunity to get paid for it. As we finish, and this song plays through one more time, I want you to read that sentence underneath his picture, because that's what the old man said. He said, do what everyone else fears to do. Take the risk. Make a difference. What I would like, here's my crazy fantasy, and includes you. I want Boardman High School to go on the national map. Now you'd be stoked because he's like, I knew we could do it. But I want CNN, I want USA Today, I want them to do stories about you. And I want them to say, who are these kids? What's their deal? How can they do that? No one else is doing it. And I'm just standing back going, that little bowling guy, I knew they could. You're not an accident. You're not a mistake. Yeah, you messed up. Welcome to my world. I have a gift for it. Before I finish, before I forget, let me get my adults, those of you who have those things on you right now, pass them over to these aisles right here so we can pick them up. Now we're going to finish. Just go to the left.
Yeah, I don't know which way to go.
Do it quickly and let's stay quiet. Those are not mine. I borrowed them from someone who looked at me and said, you'll get them all back, right? And the answer is, absolutely. While we're having that distraction, it's intentional. Some of you need an emotional valve release right now, so you're not like freaking out crying for the rest of the day. You know, already some of you are leaking, you're like, I just don't cry. Yeah, you're leaking. As we finish, I want to tell you how my journey with him ended. It was year 2000, November. And Chris called me and he said, hey, Cahoot, I want you to come to my house. I want you to hear the song I picked for my funeral. It's called He's My Son by Mark Schultz. He said, dude, they're going to put pictures of me up on the screen. They're going to celebrate my life. He said, I ordered a sword they're going to lay in my casket. It's a spiritual point. He said, and I got those words that are going to be written on my Bible. It's going to be laid on my chest. He said, but I want you to speak. And do what you do with that wireless stuff. Where you start in the back and you're talking, people, it's like God or something. I'm like, Chris, man, cannot be messing around at your funeral. He said, but you got to tell my friends, and you have to tell the students to not quit. And I said, I got your back, man. I'll do that. I told Chris I loved him. I gave him a kiss on the cheek. We flew to Florida the day before Thanksgiving. I called to see how Chris was. His mom answered the phone and his mom said, Chris slipped into a coma today. His body is beginning to shut down. But I know he can still hear you. I want you to talk to him one more time. And see, you know, us adults who we have to have that persona that we're always together and everything is just super duper. See, we're just like you. Just older. We're trying to keep it together. We're trying to go through life with the hurts, the disappointments, the failures, just like you. But we have an advantage. We lean on each other. I have a spouse. My bride completes me. That's like awesome power. You complete me. You have help. You have that man and his staff. All you have to do is ask. The day before Chris died, his mom put the phone to his ear. She said, go ahead, David, Chris can hear you. He said, hey, Chris, it's Cahoot. Dude, I'm sorry. I said, I don't understand why this had to happen. But I want to make a promise to you. I said, for the rest of my life, I won't forget you. I'll show you a picture, I'll play your song, and I'll ask people everywhere I go, what's your excuse? I have a 1.68 grade point average from Boardman High School, not because the school failed, I did. I didn't even go to college, and yet I go speak to them all the time. Don't tell me you're not smart enough. And don't tell me you're too young. Because that little boy was 17 when he died on Thanksgiving Day 2000. The day before, I whispered in his ear through the phone and said, Chris, I'm so proud of you. The baton has been handed off to you. It's your turn, teenager, to go do your very best. You know where that starts? Maybe in this room. Maybe you need to go to someone and say, I'm sorry. Maybe some of you in this room have to go tell somebody, I forgive you. Some of you just have to stop kicking up paths to your bed and actually clean up your room. Whatever that is that you have to do, I'm begging you as we finish, don't waste another day. Okay? What am I standing? Can I say something?
You have a little gift. Seth, our student council president here, will make a little presentation today.
Mr. Greer, once again, thank you.